Yes, good morning everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, so 24th January 2022, the important articles we will discuss. But before that, as it is Monday, we will have some Monday motivation. We will try to know, let's say, some motivational stories, quotations, and aspects related to the UPSC civil service examination aspirants, and it will help you in your preparation. Also, it is the objective related to our examination, ethics paper, essay paper, and your personality building for interview part of your examination. Look at this. Why Karna considered as greatest donator? So I would like to briefly narrate a story here. So Krishna and Arjuna were walking in the evening, and Arjuna asked Krishna that why Karna should be considered as greatest donator and why not me. Okay, so he started arguing with Krishna. So Krishna let's say decided to make Arjuna, let's say, learn a lesson here. So what he did, उन्होंने क्या किया वहां पे कि दो जो है गोल्ड के पर्वत बना दिए, ठीक है, और उन्होंने बोला कि गांव वालों को आपको ये पर्वत जो है गोल्ड है वो डोनेट करना है. सो अर्जुना quickly went to the village and asked the villagers that I am going to donate the gold to you, and he started mining that let's say mountains of gold and started donating that. Now after 2 days he got exhausted, and let's say there is no complete donation of that gold. Okay, so the mountains were not exhausted at all, and Arjuna started saying to Krishna that I am exhausted, I need rest. Okay, then Krishna asked Karna to donate these remaining part of the, let's say, mountains to the villagers, and Karna simply went to the villagers and said that these are the 2 gold mountains, they are yours and you can decide what to do with it. So he declares like that and he simply go away from there. So now Krishna explains to Arjuna that this is the quality of a, let's say, good donator, and he is not having any kind of attachment to that gold, while Arjuna was having some kind of attachment to the gold, that this was my gold and I am donating to the villagers. Okay, so I will donate that with some kind of, let's say, connect to that resource. So this kind of, let's say, philosophy reduces the value of donation, while Karna simply had detachment to that wealth and he simply donated without any expectation in return. Okay, so Arjuna had this expectation that if I am donating, then the villagers will let's say sing the glory of Arjuna, like that. Okay, or they will praise Arjuna for donating that gold, something like that. So he was expecting in return, while Karna simply donated and left from that place. So he was not expecting. So this is how Krishna says that this is the first sign of moving towards the enlightenment. Okay, or achieving the wisdom. So this is how Buddha also teaches that one should detach from the materialistic wealth. Okay, otherwise what will happen? There will be loss of we can say that wealth also, and simply the character of the human being will be tarnished there. Okay, so from this we understand that wealth is transitionary thing. Materialistic things are transitionary things and we should not get attached to it. The second thing we should understand, if we are donating something to the downtrodden or, let's say, needful person, then we should donate it by all heart and we should not expect something in return. Okay, so if you are helping our friend or any needy person, then we should not expect in return. This is the quality of wise person, right? So yes, obviously as a civil servant or as a person, good human being, we should have this quality. ठीक है? Okay. Now, let us discuss these important articles. Briefly, we'll take overview of all these articles. Look at the first page. Omicron is in community transmission in major cities in India. This is the report by this, let's say, 38 laboratories consortium, INSACOG. Okay, so we'll look into this news also as a follow-up to COVID-19. On right side, you can see that a hologram of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose unveiled by our PM at India Gate. Okay, so we are celebrating 125th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So this is the Parakram Divas is being celebrated. Okay. Yes. The boy from Arunachal found. So yes, there was a missing boy from Arunachal Pradesh. Last few days this was in news, and let's say Chinese army has found the boy, and in near future we can expect that there will be exchange of the boy. There are talks going on between two countries, diplomats along with army personnel. Directly come to the page number 8, editorial page. On left hand side, two editorials, false dichotomy. It is talking about a recent Supreme Court verdict about all India quota extended, let's say, or the OBC reservation of 27% extended to all India quota in undergraduate and postgraduate seats. Okay, so yes, that news we covered last week. Now there is analysis here. On the bottom side, a stellar fallacy. Assessment of environment cost benefit of projects should not be done in haste. Now the context here is that the Ministry of Environment and Forest recently had notified this star rating system for state EIA authorities. We covered this news. Now there is this analysis. Okay, GS3 paper environment section. Now the lead article, though it is written by the economic experts, but too much data actually they write there, and from time to time these experts write about the economic status or status of Indian economy. Okay, but yes, simply understand that the kind of questions UPSC is asking in mains examination. If you look at this year news, let's say question paper, what they have asked, they from the budget section of syllabus, they asked about revenue budget and capital budget. Okay, what are the components of revenue budget and capital budget? So they are asking basics about budgeting system. They are asking about basics of budgeting system. So they are not asking anything related to the present status of budgeting or something like that. So our basics should be very clear about the budgeting system. For that you refer to 11th standard NCERT. Macroeconomics part is there, then along with that standard reference books for economics. Okay. On page number 10, Tamil Nadu will definitely execute Organical water project. Now this is this was in news last week also. So here the Organical project is being implemented by Tamil Nadu across Kaveri river near Organical Falls. This is for providing drinking water supply to the nearby districts of Tamil Nadu. And now the Karnataka government is objecting to this. Why? Because this Organical area is not demarcated boundary between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Okay, so simply because of that there is a dispute here, and we will just locate about this Organical Falls are there. Okay, so that is important from geography part also, mapping part, right? So important waterfalls, important rivers, important lakes, their information is very much relevant to our prelims examination. Okay, now on page number 13 directly you can see bottom side, Peru declares environmental emergency following oil spill. Okay, so there was volcanic eruption in Tonga Island and because of that the tsunami wave struck different parts of, let's say, coastal areas of Pacific Ocean, and the South American coast, western coast, Peru coast, there the tsunami waves resulted into let's say around many such oil tankers in the nearby oil refinery, they spilled into the ocean there. Okay, so there it is resulting into huge environmental and economic loss to the country, and the context you should be aware about the recent instances of oil spill, environment section, GS3 paper. Yes, and on text and context page there is one article explaining about need of All India Environment Service. Recently Supreme Court has asked the central government whether it is going to implement the recommendation of TSR Subramanyam committee, which was constituted in 2014 to review all environmental laws in the country. Okay, so what were the recommendations of TSR Subramanyam committee? It is relevant to our examination. Okay, environment section. Now let's discuss these articles one by one. False dichotomy. Yes, so last week Supreme Court has given the ruling about, let's say, the All India Quota. Yes, so OBC reservation is extended to All India Quota of seats for admissions to undergraduate and postgraduate medical and dental courses. I will give you briefly background here about this AIQ, All India Quota. It started in 1986. It started in 1986 and it was, let's say, it is 15% of seats in all states for the, let's say, undergraduate and postgraduate dental and the normal medical courses. It is given for the central pool, okay, without any kind of domicile to the state. So states had given this 15% of quota in each and every medical college to the central government allocation. Okay, this is All India Quota. Now for around 20 years there was no reservation and the full 100% was open competition, but in 2007 the reservation was extended to SC and ST community, 15% and 7.5%. 2007, and later on, now July 2021, last year, OBC 27% it was extended, and this was challenged in the court. Now the Supreme Court has said that it is to be allowed, it should be allowed. Okay, so let us analyze this now. First thing we should talk about from polity perspective here, the courts have now come to recognize the idea of substantive equality. Now what is substantive equality? As against the normal or simply formal equality. Substantive equality says that affirmative action not as an exception to the equality rule, rather it is the important facet of equality norm. Now many philosophers have talked about this, like Aristotle also says that equals should be treated equally and unequals should be treated unequally. Okay, so, or simply we can talk about John Rawls' concept here, the difference principle, equality principle also, right? So they are also talking about need of affirmative action here so as to ensure the distributive justice, equality of opportunity and all these things. Right, so this important component is again highlighted in this judgment. Formal equality, or the principle that everyone competes on equal footing, is inadequate to address social inequalities and the inherent disadvantages of less advanced sections, necessitating the provisions that help them compete with advanced. This is how the formal equality is inadequate. Formal inequality will say that everyone should start from the common line and then compete. This is formal equality. But obviously some of the disadvantaged sections in the society, there is inherent, let's say, some kind of inequality in our society, and because of that, what will happen is those who are already ahead in the competition, obviously there are more chances of their winning, and therefore some kind of, let's say, reservation in terms of affirmative action or other, let's say, measures required, so that they will be able to compete with the advanced classes. Another argument is related to merit. Good performance in an examination does reflect hard work, but does not always reflect merit solely on one's own making. This is how the ever, let's say, not ending the debate between merit and reservation. Even, let's say, simply in common, let's say, discussion, deliberations, we observe that merit and reservation है ना, डिबेट होता है ना, आपके दोस्तों में भी डिबेट होता होगा, आपके फैमिली में भी डिबेट होता होगा इस बारे में, and this is very common. And now Supreme Court has added one more facet here in that discussion and debate, merit versus reservation. And they are saying that good performance is in an examination does reflect hard work, but does not always reflect merit solely of one's own making. Okay, so merit solely of one's own making means that it is not independently made. Okay, whatever the output of that examination, that is not only the contribution of that one person, that one student, rather the overall environment that he has grown, simply the contribution of parents, family, everything matters there. Okay, this is what the merit versus reservation debate is here. Okay, in that lecture I had read out all those judgment statement by the Supreme Court judge also. Okay, last week we talked about that, how the judge went on saying those belonging to advanced sections of society, their family members, parents, they are very much aware about different kind of career opportunities. Since the childhood itself, they groom their children in such a manner that they are already ahead again, let's say, in the competition with their other competitors, right? So this is how the extra, let's say, additions when advanced sections, the children belonging to advanced sections are having here, while those belonging to disadvantaged sections, they are fighting on their own. They do not have any kind of, let's say, knowledge, contribution by their parents, also limited resources. All these things acts as a barrier here. Okay, so that's why they are not having equal competition. Okay, so these arguments are relevant to polity part of our syllabus. Also, we can expect ethics question on this debate. Merit versus reservation. Now, ethics subject is broadening. Okay, every year they are bringing some new aspects in the ethics paper, and obviously it has some kind of philosophical basis. Equality, inequality, John Rawls theory is already there. Okay, so there can be question in ethics paper also. Suppose there is question in interview, like let's say they will ask your opinion about this debate. Okay, you should be aware about the standard opinions. Okay, so this is the standard opinion by Supreme Court judges itself. So you can directly adhere to this one. A stellar fallacy. Now we are talking about, let's say, star rating system being implemented by the Ministry of Environment and Forest, central government. So this has raised some concerns from the environmentalists. They are criticizing this, but first of all, let's understand what is EIA. Environment impact assessment is one of the cornerstones of ensuring that ecological cost of infrastructure development are minimal. Now, how it is carried out? The prospective projects above certain size and with potential to significantly alter natural environment must be first approved by state EIA authority, which is comprised of state officials and the independent experts. Now, suppose the projects are even bigger than this or even involved, let's say, forest land, they are called as category A. These projects are category B projects. In AI notification, they are categorized like this. Okay, so category A projects are, let's say, cleared by expert committee formed by the central government. Okay, this is how you should understand about basics of EIA. Now, what is proposed in the star rating system? Star rating system seeks to create some kind of competition here among the state EIA authorities for promoting efficiency, transparency and accountability. Okay, these are the three important qualities on which, or let's say characteristics on which the let's say rating will be given. Simply we should understand in terms of efficiency, if we talk about, so the less number of days required to clear the project, the more points will be given. Also those receiving the 7 stars or 7 points, they will be 5-star rating will be given to those state EIA authorities. So this is going to create some competition, and it is also related to ease of doing business. The broader philosophy of the present government, ease of doing business, promoting business activities. Okay, this aspect. Let's critically analyze this now. First thing we should understand that although it is important for economic growth and development, such kind of infrastructure projects, but the problems are related to environment damage they create. Second thing, increase in efficiency may result into lack of effective EIA. Okay, there can be, let's say, missing points in EIA. The appropriate impact assessment may not be done so as to clear the projects within the time limit. Okay, so this is the concern by the environmentalist. Along with that, we should also understand that the projects benefits to corporates as well as states, but states also receive some kind of taxes and funds from it. But we should understand the environmental cost involved there. Environmental cost in terms of ecology, ecological damage, and the people dependent on that. So livelihood resources of the people living in there, as well as we should understand the land alienation, the land acquisition process happens, social impact of such kind of projects. So all these needs to be considered here. Okay, environment, economic and social aspect of any project needs to be considered, and although the government is having this argument here that they have come up with this system so as to promote the efficiency. Already there is timeline in Environment Protection Act and the EIA notification under it, and the government is saying that to implement that time limit or timeline, so they have come up with this system, but it may result into these problems. Okay, so the critical analysis you should be aware. What should be way forward here? The way forward, simply you can say that appropriate EIA should be done along with ensuring efficiency, transparency and accountability. One should understand that environment protection and the concerns related to environment can be addressed when this process is transparent. When this process is transparent, when a process is transparent, any kind of, let's say, misuse, abuse of authority or lacuna in EIA can be questioned by the people who are affected by this project, as well as simply we can say those involved in the environment protection, some NGOs and civil society organizations. Okay, so the transparency is very important and automatically that will ensure the accountability. So this is the ensuring trust in the system. This will ensure and at present there is lack of transparency how these EIAs are carried out. The people do not understand how the kind of, let's say, technical aspects involved there in EIA. These companies, these project developers, sponsors, they are not effectively conveying the impact they are having, these projects are having on the, let's say, people, their livelihood. All these are important components of EIA. Okay, the foundation batch, they know about this. We have explained in the classroom how this EIA is conducted, right? But there are lacunas. Only the implementation is in letter and not in spirit, right? So because of that, all these problems are there, and therefore there is need of trust. It will be built when there is transparency and accountability. Okay? Yes. If you protect environmental areas. Yes, obviously livelihood is very important. The problem here is that majority of minerals in the country are located in the dense forest region. Okay, that is major problem. For sure, small, let's say, infrastructure projects like road construction and all that. So then simply we can understand there can be diversion of some kind of forest land. There will be afforestation of equal or more than equal amount of forest trees can be planted in other areas. Compensation provisions are there. Okay, so all these things are there, but large projects like mining is there, suppose. Okay, or any large, let's say, copper or iron and steel plant is to be established. So that results into huge damage, and that can be, let's say, for generations. ठीक है, तो उसके लिए मेजर कंसर्न है. Next, on text and context page, a proposal for Indian Environmental Service. So context here is that Supreme Court has asked the government if it will create an Indian Environmental Service as recommended by committee headed by former Cabinet Secretary TSR Subramanyam. Okay, so yes. This is the context. Now, what is TSR Subramanyam Committee report on environment? You should be aware about the report, its important recommendations. That's why we are covering this. Yes, this let's say committee was set up in August 2014 by the NDA 1, present government's first term, okay, to review country's green laws and procedures followed by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Now, this committee recommended the sea changes, or let's say large scale changes in the environmental laws and procedures, including, we can say, relating to environment, forest, wildlife and coastal zone clearances also. However, the report by the, let's say, parliamentary standing committee, when it considered this committee report, they said that it will damage the environment, and basically the laws which are for environment protection, they are being diluted by these recommendations, and that's why it rejected such committee report and said that the government should form another expert committee. Okay, so this is the view of parliamentary standing committee. Now, what did TSR Subramanyam report recommended? Let's find out the salient features of that. Yes, it proposed Environmental Laws Management Act, a separate law which will let's say have full-time experts bodies like National Environment Management Authority. Like NDMA is there, National Disaster Management Authority. A similar kind of authority, statutory body, National Environment Management Authority and State Environment Management Authority, constituted at state and central and state level, to evaluate the project's clearance using technology and expertise in a time bound manner, providing single window clearance. Okay. Now, the next one, to accelerate the environmental decision making process, they suggested fast track procedure for linear projects like roads, railways and transmission line, power and mining projects for the projects of national importance. Okay, so fast track procedure was provided for those projects related to of national importance, or simply we can say linear projects. Then the Air Act and Water Act is to be subsumed within the Environment Protection Act. At present there are separate Air Act and Water Act, but there are overlapping provisions in the Environment Protection Act also, right? So pollution norms are there, Environment Protection Act covers that. Existing central body like Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Board will be subsumed or integrated into this National Environment Management Authority, State Environment Management Authority once these bodies are formed. Now also recommends that environment reconstruction cost should be assessed for each project on the basis of damage caused by it to environment, and this should be added to the cost of project, and it can be recovered by the state by levying some kind of taxes, charges, okay, and cess or duty from the project proponent during the life of project, so that whatever the environment damage happens, there will be some kind of let's say remedy can be done by the government. Okay, and yes, the context here is environment service, Indian environment service, to recruit qualified and skilled human resource in the environment sector. Okay, so at present we know that the decisions which are being taken are by either journalists or complete experts, independent expert. So such kind of Indian environment service will blend these two and create some kind of balance. Okay, so has the report been accepted by the government? No, the center never formally accepted it, but to some extent it is implementing its proposals. Okay, so we should be aware, like there are changes being proposed related to forest conservation law. Also the timelines to pace at which the expert committees that appraise the suitability of infrastructure projects must proceed. All these indirectly the government is implementing these recommendations. Okay, so but the major recommendations like formation of NEMA and SEMA, this is not implemented, or Indian Environment Service is not being created up till now. Okay, so recommendations, you should be remembering that there can be direct question in the examination as well as indirect question also. You can use these recommendations whenever there is let's say environment protection and economic growth dilemma in the question mentioned, or essay topic is suppose they are related to that. Okay, TSR Subramanyam committee. Yes, Tamil Nadu will definitely execute Organical water project. This is the statement given by Tamil Nadu government. But yes, about this Organical drinking water project, it is being constructed across Kaveri river. It is aimed at supplying water to Krishnagiri and Dharmapuri districts of Tamil Nadu. Karnataka government would legally oppose the proposed project by Tamil Nadu as it falls within the geographical jurisdiction of both Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Why we are saying that? Because this is disputed part of boundary between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Survey of India has not finalized the Karnataka-Tamil Nadu border at Hogenakkal. Okay, so this is the conflict between these two. From geography perspective, Hogenakkal Falls, very famous in southern India, on let's say Kaveri river, border between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. It is also referred as Niagara Falls of India. Okay. Also, we should understand the name Hogenakkal formed two Kannada words, Hoge and Kal. Okay, so Hoge means smoke emanating from the top of Kal, that is rocks, and that's why it is Hogenakkal, smoking rocks. It looks like that. Okay, major tourist attraction, boating during the non-monsoon months time period. So very famous in the southern India. Okay, so remember the major waterfalls we are expecting question in prelims. Last year they asked questions related to lakes and rivers. Every year UPSC asked one or two questions from geography mapping perspective. Okay, one generally from world geography, generally one from Indian geography. Last year directly two questions from Indian geography were asked, location based. Okay, now Peru declares environmental emergency following oil spill. Okay, so there was Tonga, we can say volcanic eruption near Australian coast in the southern Pacific Ocean that has led to the tsunami waves, and because of that there is oil spill in near Peru coast. Oil spill near Lima, capital of Peru, has fouled beaches, killed birds and harmed the fishing and tourism industry. Okay, the overall economic losses estimated more than $50 million, all sectors combined. Okay, now Peruvian government is trying to, let's say, extract the economic cost or losses from that refinery from where we can say this oil spill has happened. Okay, there was actually unloading of the barrels from the ship was going on, and that ship, from that ship the barrels spilled into the ocean. Okay, so this is what they are happening here. The efforts are still going on to contain the effect. Omicron in community transmission. Okay, so we can understand that it may be in community transmission because around every person in the country may have exposed to this virus, and yes, the majority of, let's say, cases are having very mild or no symptoms, and that's why we are not able to understand whether we are infected with that Omicron variant of COVID-19. But still, those who are having the two doses of the vaccines, they are less, we can say, vulnerable for severity of diseases compared to other people. Okay. Now, what is this INSOCOG? Simply we should understand it is the SARS-CoV, Indian SARS-CoV-2 Genomic Consortium, jointly initiated by Union Health and Family Welfare Ministry, Department of Biotechnology and others. It is the consortium of 38 laboratories monitoring the genomic variations of this SARS-CoV-2, the novel coronavirus causing COVID-19. This can be asked in prelims examination. Okay, this consortium, Union Health and Family Welfare Ministry and Department of Biotechnology. Okay. Yes, simple question. Yes, so Hogenakkal Falls are on Kaveri river. There are very famous falls on Sharavati river in Karnataka. Anyone knowing that? One of the highest falls in the country. It is also known as Gersoppa Falls, Jog Falls or Gersoppa Falls, Western Ghats, Sharavati river. Okay, so important waterfalls across major rivers in different states. Simply you can Google it. Okay, Wikipedia will provide the information about the important waterfalls. Try to note them down because you will not find them in any geography particular book. Okay, so that's why you need to search them. Okay? Okay, fine. Any question? Okay, so yesterday's The Hindu newspaper, you will receive the recorded video. Fine? Okay.